everyone. The Shorts are here to talk to us today about what life was like back when they went to college and how it's changed.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Willie Short.
Oh, welcome. So, where did you attend college?
I attended St. Peter's College in Jersey City, New Jersey, small liberal arts Jesuit school. When I was there, it was my class of, I was graduating class of 1955, and in my class there was about 300 students. I was a liberal arts major, history, English, and philosophy and economics minors. I graduated out of an ROTC program and entered, within 2 months of graduating, I entered active duty with the Army as a second lieutenant.
Oh. And Willie, what about you?
And I went to Cedar Crest, but I only stayed 2 years. And I had no idea what I wanted to major in. Anything I'd come up with, my father would say, well, that's not really for a girl. So, it was, those were the days, And I was the class of 55 also, so it was a long time ago.
Okay. What was it like going to college when you attended?
Well, I stayed in school. I was a boarder. And it was very, very different. We had curfews, we had house mothers, we had a dining room that we had to go to. We had to go to chapel twice a week, and you had to sign in, not on a computer, on a piece of paper. And that was part, we had to take religion as freshmen. Every freshman took religion, and you went to chapel for 4 years. At dinner, you had 2 seniors, and the one senior served the meal, and then the juniors, and then the sophomores, and then 2 freshmen. And it wasn't a designated table. You could sit any place you want, but you knew the 2 freshmen were there, you knew where you were. And this, I loved the idea that the seniors served, and it was the family style, and the food was good, I have to honestly say. And we had to wear skirts.
Oh, that's it. Don't forget the dress code.
We had to wear skirts, even at lunch. If we came back from class, we could wear pants to class, but we'd have to run back and put a skirt over the pants, roll the pants up, and put a skirt on to go to lunch.
Oh.
Well,
What a
we
process.
were late. It's a wonder we didn't have to wear white gloves and hats. No, it wasn't. But I will say, Sunday going to church, you wore white gloves and a hat.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, gods, am I old.
No. And Paul, what about for you? What was it like?
Going to college in the 50s, I found quite adventurous, quite frankly. I went away to prep school in New England, and for a variety of reasons, I ended up at St. Peter's College. And I was a commuter. I was a day hop. It was an inner city school, no residents. Everybody was a, quote, day hop, if you want to call us, or commuters. And myself and 3 others used to drive from out in the western suburbs into Jersey City to go to school. I thought classes then were a little different than I guess than they are today. The faculty didn't, and the students didn't have the technology available to them. It was all chalk and paper and pens and pencils. Heavy reliances upon some of our textbooks, more so than today, where students have the ability to either take a piece of material off the computer, or separate, buy short little paperbacks. But it was most of my courses were dominated with a textbook, all my economics classes, and that was true in even 2 of my history classes. But the literature classes were all, paperbacks. You felt you were getting it off easy if you only had to buy 10 paperbacks.
10.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was focused on.
But they were only 10 cents, or sometimes a quarter. The big ones were a quarter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but you walked in, you saw the professor would put right on the board what the requirements are, and he or she, we didn't have any she's, I come to think of it, but he would start. And if it was a Shakespeare class, you were expected to read one of Shakespeare's plays a week, and you better know it. And almost to him, and I always remember the worst exam I ever had in college. And people thought calculus is tough and economics can be tough. The worst exam I ever had was my Shakespeare class. Not only did you have to say you read the plays, but the exam would consist of Act 4, Scene 3. Okay. The exam tells you exactly who's in this act and what's going on. Tell me who were the major characters in Act 3 and Scene 4. And they'll tell us what was in Act 5 and Scene 2.
That's terrifying.
And so you had to know that play at the back of your hand. To me, it was terrifying. But in college, we didn't have A, B, C's or D's. It was 100, 90, and I think I got out of that class like in about 74, 75, something like that. And I was singing the praises of God that I got through that. And yet I look back at it now. I loved all my English classes, even that one. Although the exam was hard, but the professor was dynamite.
Oh, I bet.
Just,
so was that one of your favorite classes? Do you have a favorite class that you can remember?
I guess most of English classes, most of my one history class was dynamite. I thought, it was asking you to explain to participants of the Treaty of Versailles, and it's all well and good to talk about the Treaty of Versailles and say, but the professor really wanted us to know the background of the people, who they are, what position are they going to take by sitting down to come to this. It's like, so you had to know who was married to who, and what was their ethnic background, and when they all came together to sit down to come up with this treaty that had great impact on the history of Western Europe. Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, I bet.
Fun. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
And I was American history. That history, I know none of which. None, really. American history was but I've had such wonderful professors, and even when I was in high school, I had an American history teacher that climbed every hill of the Revolution and the Civil War with a pack on his back in the right time of the year, and he would tell us these wonderful stories like we knew he was there, it was just wonderful. But so American history became my big thing.
Yeah. Well,
and still is. I mean, I will read, I just finished a book on the War of 1812 and read a wonderful book called My American Revolution, written by a man who took the walk and crossed the Delaware to Trenton and walked all the way up to Morristown, New Jersey. The right time of the year, and followed it was just, he was there. It was wonderful. But I'm making him read them too.
But the lovely part about that book, he's writing about all the details that he went through to get making the
sleeping in tents. He didn't know where. And
anyway, he gets to Morristown, New Jersey, and he decides he's going to live.
Well, Morristown has a big national park.
Yes.
Because George Washington spent 2 winters in Morristown, only 1 in Valley Forge. But anyway, and they built some log cabins that replicas of what the soldiers had slept in. And his plan was to go there, and it was cold. He said it was rainy, snowy, miserable November. And he remembered his mother and father lived in a condo in Morristown, and he decided, I think that's the way to go.
So he's up in his mother and father's condo.
And had a good meal and a good shower.
Well, that's what he needed.
And sat over with a nice glass of wine.
That's perfect.
Those are my kind of historians. No, I had some excellent professors, I thought. the one gentleman I remember, and the University of Delaware has some excellent professors. I know some of them, and they are excellent. And I've sat in some of their classes, and they are just wonderful. When I taught, I thought I wish I had emulated some of them, But anyway, but I remember the one professor I had in calculus, and I was struggling, and what he decided, he took all the people who were struggling with calculus. I know there were 3 sections or something like that. He got 20 of us together from the 3 sections, and we had to go sit in a class on Saturday morning with what he calls the makeup classes. And I learned more calculus on Saturday mornings on these extra. And here's this professor, he's taking the time out of his own life and getting 20 students out of the 3 sections to help them out. And I thought it's
above and beyond.
It is, and I think you find, that's where I think why I like the fact that I did go to a small school, and the average, one class was 12 of us in the class, but yet I remember the biology was, I think there was 55 or 60 of us. But no, that's not that many, but at St. Pete's at that time, that was a big class.
It's a big class. It's still a big class. Pretty big.
Yeah, but
did you folks have any extracurricular activities that you participated in? Any sports or clubs?
I did. One thing, I was heavily involved with tennis and track when I was in high school. I was in prep school in Massachusetts, but I was not good enough with the tennis team. But I was supported. I mean, I was playing tennis anyway. And the same way with track, and I did try to stay with track, but I enjoyed it. I absolutely loved the sport. However, I was not good enough to be competitive, and so but I got involved in other things. I was with the the literature club, the history club. I was part of a group of men that used to invite experts in to give lectures, and I was part of that background, working to bring lecturers into the school. And they were authors, reporters for the New York Times or something of that nature. They'd give a lecture, be it on the Korean War, the aspects of the Korean War, or publishing certain books, etc. I was heavily involved in that.
Huh.
I played field hockey, and I tried at basketball, but I'm 5'1", so that didn't work too well. They didn't want me for center anyway. But one of the things I remember, as freshmen, we called them dinks. We had we had these little hats with 55 on it, and we wore a sign around our neck with our name and our hometown. This was it was wonderful. Pain in the neck, of course, and you did that for 4 weeks. And after the 4th week, you had a tug of war, the freshman class against the sophomore class. And if the freshmen won, we could take our dinks and signs off. But we lost, of course, and we had to wear our signs for 2 more weeks or something. And it was fun, of course. And it was over this little muddy stream right down to Muhlenberg, which was men's then, but they were all men's then. But right through the mud,
Yep.
That's funny. What was the biggest global event going on while you guys were going to school?
Well, the Korean War was on.
Yeah.
Korean War was on. And of course, there was really what I refer to as the start of Cold War, U.S. versus Soviet Russia. Those are major
the
global
Cold
events.
War.
And also what I call sideshows. Again, this conflicts was the Indonesian War, Vietnam, not Vietnam, yes, Vietnam, but then was called the French Indochina War. Quote, the French referred to it as a conflict. Let's face it, it was a war. And I remember distinctly in school reading about in the New York Times the article dealing with when the French forces lost in Dien Bien Phu. I mean, it was a major event, and of course the complications. Why didn't the U.S. Support the French? And of course, the U.S. was involved with Korea, and there was a dynamics, if you wish. It was constantly over our heads. And the other thing is, Erica, is the fact that I was in ROTC, and so a lot of this we got to. That shadow was, okay, how are we going to act when we are on active duty?
Yeah.
So
Did it affect how you studied and how
yes, it
your
did.
life?
I thought so. I took college very serious. I mean, I read not only the textbooks, but I read, supplement materials. I was reading. It seemed like I was reading a book a day almost. I mean, I just consumed not only literature, history, and economics, and philosophy.
Yeah.
And it was important, you had to keep your grades up, otherwise you could be pulled out of college
Yeah.
Right.
to go into the Army. I mean,
Yeah. The same thing
the
happened
wars-
in Vietnam.
It was different for the women, of course, but the whole thing started, when I was 17, we were all going to be seniors, and I had a big party for my 17th birthday, the end of June. And this thing came on the radio, of course we didn't have TV, but about these North Koreans or something going some boundary, and well, anyway, we finally got to understand it, and here we were, all 17, going to be seniors in high school, and of course the guys were all talking about, will we be able to go to college? Will we be drafted? Will we have to go in the Army? Should we volunteer now? Should we finish high school? And it ruined my party, but which had nothing to do with. But it was really just a very, very scary time. And all through your senior year of high school, even we were concerned about it.
That's June
and we had the
25th,
Cold War.
June 26, 1950.
That's when it happened?
Yep.
Oh.
All during high school, we would have bomb scare. What do you call them? Nuclear
atomic bomb drills.
Fire alarm drills. And I can remember this was going to protect us from the atom bomb. We had to sit under our desk, so we would be okay from this atomic bomb falling. And I went to school in Hoboken, which was, of course, right across the river from New York City, and everybody knew New York City had to be the first target. I mean that, But anyway, one time we all laughed and said, "This desk is going to protect us." Oh, of course it is.
Yeah.
But even as a smaller kid in grammar school, we had drills for World War II.
Yeah. So
So I guess it was something we've always been used to.
Yeah.
We've always had war. We really have.
One way or another, yeah. But you look at those events, and when we were in college, I mean, you're always looking for the background. You're always looking and reading and trying to understand the history of why do these events happen? What did people do 10 years ago? Why? So that's how. A lot of the discussions in class were.
Sounds very different from
Yeah.
what we live with now.
But right now we have something new now to worry
It's
about.
different. I guess
But
it's
of course,
Let's face it.
ironically,
Just
it comes from the same place, doesn't it? History repeats itself,
But it's
they say.
interesting, the people in your class, there's still a lot of concerns. Should we have a draft? Do we not have a draft? You know,
Should women be included? Shouldn't they be?
You know, there's same questions are still being asked today, and I think students today have a lot of pressure on them, and I wish some of them could just lighten up a bit, and some of the faculty could probably lighten up also. But you know, it's a great job being a student.
There's no rush. So that leads me into my last question.
Okay.
What would be your greatest piece of advice that you would give students today?
Can I repeat what I said before?
You sure can.
I would say keep on top of the use of technology. Be aware of what's taking place around you. Try to get a basic understanding of how technology is something that we are going to live with, and we are going to have to learn how to interact with it. At some point in time, you have, with the changes of technology happening so quickly. Years ago, we could say in 20 years period, something would take place, so 10 years. Well, those changes now are down to almost like 2.5 years. The average person in their late 20s and early 30s, that may be down to 9 months in a couple of years. So my advice would be stay on top of your technology and seek out the cutting edge and have an understanding of not only the individual micro effect, but have a global, how's it going to affect you as a society, the society you're going to live in. Be on top of it and welcome it.
It's important.
I'm a little bit different. I agree with what he said, and we always told our kids when they left for school, first of all, have fun. That's a big part of college.
Yes.
Enjoy it. We don't expect you to have straight A's. Don't knock yourself out trying to. We want you to pass everything. You got 4 years, and that's all the money there is. You know, you do it in 4 years or forget it. But pass all your courses, but enjoy it, and really remember this is the last time you'll be footloose and fancy free in your whole life, probably.
Yeah, but also, like we did ask our kids to take certain courses.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're not going to be a history major, I don't care. But at least take a couple good history classes, even if they're like, get to understand the world, where we came from. Another thing, we made all 3 kids to take a course in economics. Take a course in economics. Understand the whole basic concepts of supply and demand, cost of labor, flow of funds, you know, where money comes from, what's the cost. The economists have a great line. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Someone's paying for it. And students, if you take a nice course in economics, and also take a good course in philosophy. So there's your major, your satellite courses.
A taste of everything.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but that's what college is. And be willing to listen to everybody. Open your minds to anybody, you know. Listen to anything. I don't care what it is. I do not believe.
And don't be afraid to try new things.
And don't be afraid to try, you know. I agree with you. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. As long as you don't get hurt or hurt somebody else.
It's true.
And have fun. Enjoy it.